Hey, it's Jess from Asgardian Strength, and today I'm going to go over how to track your alcohol. So it's a little bit more complicated just because alcohol isn't considered a well, it is a macronutrient, but it isn't labeled as a macronutrient for a whole host of reasons. So we're going to get started into just explaining that there are four macronutrients. So the first one is protein, sitting at 4 calories per gram. And then we have carbohydrates, which are also sitting at 4 calories per gram. Fats are at 9 calories per gram, and alcohol is actually 7 calories per gram. So when you're tracking, most of the time it won't show up as any macros, it will just have total calories. And then for mixed drinks and for beer and like cocktails and everything like that, it will state the carbohydrates that are in it and then leave you with the rest of calories that are going towards alcohol. So in order to track it, or how we're going to log it, is looking at a shot of vodka. So there's 67 calories. There isn't any carbs, fats, or protein listed. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, this is the long route, just to show you how many grams of alcohol there is in there. So we're going to take 67 calories. We're going to divide it by 7. So that leaves us with 9.6 grams of alcohol. And like I said, alcohol is not listed as a macronutrient for lots of reasons. So if you're tracking macros, you'll either have to convert it to carbs or fats or both of them. So hard alcohol is actually the easiest to track because it doesn't have any of the carbohydrates, fats, or protein. So if we are converting it to fats, what it would look like is we would take 67 calories, we would divide it by 9, and that would give us 7.4 grams of fat. And then if we were to convert it to carbs, then we would do 67 divided by 4, which leaves us with 16.8 grams of carbs. If we were to do half carbs, half fats, that would turn out to be 33.5 calories. So we would divide that by 4, which would give us 8.4 grams of carbohydrates. And then if we were to do the 33.5 calories in fats, then we would divide that by 9, and that would leave us with 3.7 grams of fats. So total macros would look like either full on 7.4 grams of fat for this one shot of vodka, or 16.8 grams of carbs for this one shot of vodka, or 8.4 grams of carbohydrates, and then 6.7 grams of fats for this one shot of vodka. Now looking at pre-made drinks, so this is a White Claw. Looking at the macronutrients for it, so everything that I pulled today is from MyFitnessPal. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of different tracking apps, and the biggest thing to make sure that you do is that you confirm that these are the actual macros for that drink, because a lot of it is, some of it can be incorrect on MyFitnessPal, and we're also going to touch on looking up at MyFitnessPal and an easier way to track than this. This is just the long way of knowing how to track for this. So looking at a White Claw, the calories are confirmed here. The carbohydrates are also confirmed here. So number one is make sure that your drink of choice, your logging is accurate on your tracking app. And then in this example, you subtract carbs and then figure out your remaining calories. So we have 2 grams of carbohydrates here. If we times that by 4, that's 8 calories that are coming from strictly carbohydrates. So we minus 8 from 100 calories, which leaves us with 92 calories. So like I said before, we can split these up to either fats, carbs, or both of them. So if we're leaning towards carbohydrates, we would do 92 divided by 4, which leaves us with 23.6 grams of, 23 grams of carbohydrates. If we were to do fats, we would do 92 divided by 9, which equals 10.2 grams of fats. If we were to split them, then we would divide 92 by 2, and that would leave us with 46 calories. So we do 46 divided by 4, which is 11.5 grams of carbohydrates, and then 46 divided by 9, which equals 5.1 grams of fat. So then if we were to look at the total macronutrients for this one, we would have to include those extra 2 grams of carbohydrates that it already comes with. So if we were doing strictly carbs, then we would have 25 grams of carbohydrates just for this one White Claw. If we were to pick fats, then we would have 2 grams of carbohydrates and then 10.2 grams of fat. And then if we were to do a split, well, then we would have 13.5 grams of carbohydrates and then 5.1 grams of fat. Now moving on to beer, because beer is a little bit more carb heavy. We have 13.6 grams of carbohydrates here and 1.5 grams of fat, of protein. So we would figure out the calories. So 13.6 times 4 equals 54.4 calories, and then 1.5 times 4 equals 6 calories. And then that is a total of 60.4 calories. So we would have to minus that from the total calories that is provided. So that leaves us with 109.6 calories of alcohol. And like I said before, we can decide what we want to split this up into. So if we were choosing all carbohydrates, we would do 109.6 divided by 4, which equals 27.6 grams of carbs. If we wanted to strictly do fats, then we do 109.6 divided by 9, which equals 12.2 grams of fats. And then if we were to split both carbs and fats up, we'd be left with 54 calories. 54.8 calories, and divided by carbs, that would leave us with 13.7 grams of carbohydrates. And then if we were to do fats, then it would be 54.8 divided by 9, which leaves us with 6.1 grams of fat. So the new macros using carbs as the choice of macronutrient would equal 13.6 plus 27.6, which equals 41.2 grams of carbohydrates. And sorry, that just looked really awkward. So yeah, it would leave us with 41.2 grams of carbohydrates and then protein 1.5 grams, which equals 70.8 calories. So we just want to make sure that our math is equaling those calories. And if we're just following strictly calories, obviously this is a lot easier to track, but just note that your calories are made up from your macronutrients, and this is how there is calories to the stuff that you eat. Now I'm just going to pull up MyFitnessPal and kind of show you a hack, because now that they have now that people are able to go in and create their own foods. So there are actually already pre-made ones that you can choose from. And if you're using a different app, then you might not have the option of doing that. So just give me 1 second here. And okay, I'm back to show you what it looks like on MyFitnessPal. So pulling up vodka, if we type in, so I typed in vodka using carbs, and then it comes up with the 16 grams of carbohydrates, so you don't have to worry about interchanging anything there. And then obviously just make sure that that equals the calories. So if we have a 16 grams of carbohydrates times by 4, that equals 64 calories. Now, I believe a standard ounce is 1.5. So if you are going out at a restaurant, I believe they use 1.5 as the standard serving size for hard alcohol. Now I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 1.5. So then you would be looking at the 96 calories per shot if it's 1.5 standardized drink. And then looking at White Claws. So this first one here, it says correct. So that is the one that I had pulled up on my slide with the 2 carbohydrates. So that one is missing, obviously, all of its macronutrients. And then there should be one, yeah, see right down here. This one is strictly all carbohydrates. And then this one is strictly all fats. So that looks like it's about correct. The other one was correct, times 9, which equals 5.6 times 9. Yeah, so this is another thing to be wary of, is this actually does not equal the total calories that's listed here. And this is where it can become very confusing when logging and everything like that. And luckily for my clients that I do my nutrition coaching with, we do it a completely different way, so it's a lot easier to track and manage for tracking alcohol. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this and it made a little bit more sense on how to track your alcohol with your macronutrients. If you have an app that you can just throw in carbohydrates and fats, then that's going to be a lot easier of an option when you're tracking booze. Just you'll have to not pay attention to the calorie goal, because it's just going to be a little bit messed up if you're inputting macros And if it's coming up as calories, then they're going to be a little bit off. And last thing that I wanted to touch on is I did pull a lot from carbohydrates and fats. By that, I mean, I chose carbohydrates and fats strictly because we should not be pulling any calories from protein. Protein should be at its highest, sitting at, at least 0.8 grams per pound of body mass, and making sure that you're not changing those calories for alcohol. And at the end of the day, it's just all about whatever method that you choose, just do it consistently and make sure that it's correct, because there's a lot of errors that you can be using when tracking calories, which is another downside to obviously tracking. But hopefully this made sense. And if you like this video, please share it, please like it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and take care.